So welcome to our Survive and Thrive series. For those of y'all who know my partner Shandy King, he has been missing in action for the last few weeks, taking care of his dad, but he is back with us. So feel free to harass him if you have questions. I wanted to have one of my favorite people on today. Kyle Draper is a gentleman who has been kicking my ass to get me to do more social media stuff over the last few
Yeah.
months. And a lot of y'all have reached out to appreciate the content that we put out there. And this series itself is actually inspired by Kyle. So I thought I would take up a little bit of his morning and ask him to share with us a little bit that you guys could go with. So I guess, Kyle, I'll turn it over to you. My
Yay,
easiest one
Susan.
ever.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Guys, good morning. I'm honored to be here. I love helping you in what I believe is like most of your greatest area of need and struggle. All of you are great at what you do. Most of you are terrible about getting it in front of people online so that they don't forget that you exist. And so this is why I wrote, which I think many of you already have. You have my book, Rethink Everything. You know about social media. And this is why I wrote it, because most people get so confused about social media. We're taught how to do social media by people that don't know what they're doing. And so for most of you, you're out there just doing what you think is right, and it all is garbage. And so we're going to try to fix it in 30-ish minutes. Susan and I are going to do our best. But this is called Rethink Everything You Know About Social Media. And here is, guys, why this is so important. Because something now exists that we call social proof. And what social proof is how we no longer trust anyone because we don't have to. Everything I ever need to know is on this device. And so I have the ability to go, wait a second, Susan, what did you say? And we don't have to fight about it anymore because I can go Google it and go, no, that happened in 1847. Right? So we don't have to trust people. And so if we need to take this further, and some of you may go, well, I don't know that that's true. Like, I trust people. When's the last time you just went to a new restaurant because someone told you it was good? Did you not Google it? Did you not look up pictures? Did you not go check out some reviews, which says you didn't have to trust your friend because you had the internet to back you up? And so here's why this matters to us. When I write a book, when I speak in front of people like I'm doing right now, when Susan's closing a loan and somebody goes, oh my gosh, do you know Susan? Her team's incredible. In the 90s, people would go, oh, great, what's your phone number? Boom, calling Susan. In the 2020s, we don't have to do it. And so what do people do? They go to the internet, they look up Susan and her business, and if she's not careful, people go, man, my friend said that she was awesome. But like, I can't hardly find anything about her on the internet. My friend said she was awesome, but all she posts are closing photos and pictures of houses. And so there's just really nothing there that allows me to trust her. And then she'll lose business because she didn't have social proof. And so the reason I start here is this sucks. If we can just all collectively be okay with saying this sucks, that this is true. It sucks that we can't just be good at our jobs, but we have to also showcase that we're good at our jobs on the internet. It's not fair. It's not what you signed up for, but it doesn't change the fact that it's true. And so if we want to manage this shift, if we want to be relevant while this market is changing, if we want to go take market share, while a lot of your counterparts have already left the industry this year, social media is how we do it. And so as we jump into this thing, right, the problem that we're having is most easily communicated through a book called 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. And he talks about two things that he watched happen in the 1920s, the character ethic and the personality ethic. The character ethic was this: if I get better as a person, everything around me gets better. As I grow, as I value personal development, I become a better husband, a better father, a better business owner, a better friend, right? All of those things get better as I get better. But the personality ethics said, wait a second, why do I want to grow? Because growing is hard. Personal development's hard. Looking in the mirror, identifying my flaws, being honest with myself, like those things are difficult. And so what happened, and all of you are guilty of this, me included, is we started realizing, well, I'll just go be what Susan needs, and then I'll go be what Becky needs, and then I'll go be what Leanne needs. And guys, we look up, and because I know how fast the real estate world works, you could have 5 different meetings today and be a different version of yourself in each one of those meetings. You have meetings with people. Go ahead, Susan.
I was just going to say, Kyle, just to back up for a second, one of the reasons that I was drawn to Kyle to start with is that he super focuses on serving realtors and lenders. And so, so while he could be for anybody, as it turns out, the vast majority of his clients that he takes care of are in our market. So he speaks our language, and that helps me.
Thank you. It helps me too. I'm not smart enough to try to learn all these other industries. So guys, what we've done is, you have groups of friends that you cuss a lot with. You have groups of friends that you might not cuss around because you know they don't like it. You have groups of friends you might drink too much around. You have groups of friends you don't drink at all. You are these different versions of yourself all the time. And so when I come on here as the social media guru, as Susan titled me in the Zoom sign up, your subconscious question is, but which version of myself am I supposed to be on the internet? Right? Susan went through this struggle when she started doing video. She had to self-discover, like, who am I going to show up as? And so the goal of this is, I'm trying to get you to a place where you're the same version of yourself all the time. If you cuss in real life, I'm going to encourage you to cuss in your videos. Be yourself. Because we are so done with phony and fake people. We are desperate. Like seeing Clyde like on video, right? We got to share a moment as dog people. But you know what? There's people that would go, well, that's unprofessional. You shouldn't have your dog on Zoom on a business call. That's not professional. Guys, there's people out there coaching this. Be human. We're craving this so much right now. And so this is what we've got to begin to work through. And so what I want to give you guys, and we're going to get through as many as we can in a short period of time, and I'll give these slides to Susan. And so the ones we don't cover, if you want them, she'll send them to you. But I want to give us several statements that I then am going to provide a quote for. So if you're a quote person, you can put it on your mirror, you can print it off and put it on your dash. But this is what we have to do a better job of. This is what we have to rethink, in my opinion, if social media is going to work for you moving forward. And so the first thing is, you have to stop performing. I love seeing you guys in the car driving to get a new dog. Like, that tells me things about you that I like. And so I already feel more connected, because dog people like each other. If you had a cat sitting on your shoulder, I'd be like, what a weirdo. Probably not going to connect to these people, because I hate cats. I'm allergic to cats. And so these are the little subtle nuances that, if we will add them into what we do, it's a game changer. Like, guys, you should have the dogs sitting next to your yard signs when you get a new listing. And you should say, look who came to work with us today. And that post that would have probably got 10 likes if it was just a yard sign is going to get 100 now, because you put a cute dog in it. And I don't know, for you cat people, maybe you could get a cat to sit still next to a yard sign. I don't know if that's possible. But if it is, cat people are going to resonate with that stuff. We've got to be ourselves. It's huge. Because if you're not willing to be yourself, you give yourself very room for error for when you're willing to show up in front of the camera. And so we got to do a better job of this. And I love what Oscar Wilde says, be yourself. Everyone else is already taken. We don't need you to be a different version so that you can be more like so-and-so. Otherwise, we just go be friends with so-and-so. Guys, your friends love you for you. And so what I want you to think about is, why are you so able to go to coffee with Susan, right? I'm assuming everybody that'll be on here or watch the replay has probably had coffee with you, lunch with you, happy hour with you. Why do we have the ability to go to lunch with you, be ourselves, tell stories, laugh, maybe cry, but then all of a sudden we introduce this little eye hole on our cameras, on our phones, and all of a sudden we go, well, I mean, what am I supposed to say? Because we feel this pressure to perform when the camera's on. And so the goal is, can you be the same version of yourself when you are at coffee with Susan that you can be in front of this camera? My favorite compliment that I receive now when I speak is when people come up to me and say, Kyle, you are as nice in real life as you appear to be on your videos. It's my favorite compliment. And it's also sad because that's probably not true. We could probably name big personalities in the real estate space that seem fun and nice on their content, but you go to their event and they're a-holes. And it makes you leave with a sour taste in your mouth. And sorry, guys, I used to be a pastor, so I cuss with letters. It just makes me feel like I'm more forgiven that way. So that's just how I roll. I apologize if, it bothers you. We have to be ourselves. I also, because of what I just did, I will have people that go, bro, you're so funny. Like when you cuss with letters, it's hilarious. It's just who I am. And so it's a game changer for me when I can be that all the time. The second thing, though, that we have to get better at, we have to rethink, because this has become one of those things that I think we all naturally would say we love people. Some of you might actually say you hate people, which is a completely different conversation. But what I've found is when you have a genuine desire to love people, it gets a lot easier to show up online. My superpower is that I love people more than I care about looking stupid. It's my superpower. What does that mean? That means that I can do a video from any environment, whether my hair is done or not. It does not matter to me. If I feel like I have something that people need, I will give it to them however possible.
But you're not a girl. I'm just saying.
I am not a girl, and that's true, right? So obviously there are things that I can't say or convince you of because I am not a girl. I don't know if you guys knew that, but I am not. So thank you, Susan.
I'm just saying sometimes we gotta get our hair did before we go on the
Well,
video.
of course, but think about this, right? Think about like most of your counterparts, most of your girlfriends, like speaking from the female perspective, that are out and about, right? Like Leanne, you guys are in the car driving to pick up a dog. So you're not all glitzed and glamored up. Like you're on a 7-hour road trip, right? And so if we only show up when we look beautiful, that's not always relatable. And so I'm not saying that we need to show up looking like death regularly, but there should be that like poolside version of Susan that has the confidence to be at the pool on a Saturday. A client texts you, they ask you a really important question, and you go, oh my gosh, I need to tell everybody about this. And so every once in a while, to have the ability to do the poolside video, do the early Sunday morning video while you're on your back porch sipping your coffee, and to be able to go, hey guys, I apologize for the way I look right now, but I just got this message from a client and the question they asked is so valuable. I wanted you guys to know. And it humanizes us. Why? Because the people that watch that video, they're also in their PJs on the back porch sipping their drink of choice. And it makes us relatable. We can do this with, you know, putting dogs in the background. Like I'll do videos where I know my kids are going to come in, because in that moment I can stop being an expert and be a dad. And so it showcases my humanity to you. It makes me more likable, more believable, more attractive. But we have to do this. We have to love people. And I love what Bob Goff says. Bob Goff says most people need love and acceptance a lot more than they need advice. Do you know, guys, why we're so quick to give advice? Because it feeds our ego. We love to give advice because we feel smart. We get to be right. And what I've learned, I turned 40 in November. And what I'm learning in my 40s is I'm starting to measure my maturity by how often every day I don't have to insert my opinion. Because most people are like, whoa, like we jump on every opinion out there that we disagree with. And I measure my day by like, man, I'm really proud of myself. 3 people today said stupid stuff. And I just let them be ignorant because it's not worth it. And I don't need to insert my advice all the time. Sometimes people just need to be heard. They just need to be listened to. And so this is huge. I believe when you really truly decide that you love helping people, it changes the game for social media. It makes it so much easier. But this also makes it easy. When we begin to ask ourselves, do I genuinely assume the best in people? What if you decided that everyone wasn't out to get you? Because isn't it easy to wake up every day just looking for the first time you're offended? And so I could turn on, you know, Good Morning America, and by the 4th story, I can be like, how dare they talk about that? Right? Or why didn't they talk about that more? And we just look for reasons to be offended. We can go to a restaurant and we can start thinking like, why is that family looking at us? My little 8-year-old daughter, she'll do this. We'll be at dinner and she'll be like, that little boy over there is looking at me. And I'm like, Everly, no, he's not. And what if he is? Who cares? Why are you concerned with this? You got chicken fingers and French fries right there. Just enjoy yourself. But we're always looking to be offended. And some of you might be wondering, like, what does this have to do with social media? Guys, most of you suck at this because you're never in a positive headspace. Ever. And so how in the world are you ever going to create life-giving content to people if you're negative all the time? If you're constantly assuming the worst in people? It's impossible. Like, I can't fight with somebody and then jump on video and be like, hey guys, what's up? It's Scott. Like, I have to keep my life healthy for me to be able to show up from a place of value. Another way we do this is to learn to be curious, not judgmental. Guys, we have opportunity every day to be offended. And we either choose to be offended, or we can instead go, huh, that's interesting. I wonder why Susan said that to me. And now I'm a processor of human emotion. And now I learn people as opposed to just get offended. It's a fascinating concept. And this is a Walt Whitman quote that this is who first said it. There's a really cool scene in Ted Lasso where he talks about this quote, and there's a QR code in my book that takes you to that scene. I hope I won't get sued for copyright infringement if they ever see it. But as of today, you can still go find that scene with my QR code. And I really believe this, guys, that sometimes we are on the receiving end of what someone else deserved. And y'all know this better than anybody. In real estate and in mortgage, y'all are constantly crapped on by people, and it's usually not your fault, right? Susan's going to be dealing with a couple, and they might be fighting and having some marital issues, but then she gets to be on the receiving end of the blow up, and it had nothing to do with her, but she still got to feel it. And so what I've learned, being a pastor really helped me with this. And I think still having the heart of a pastor continues to help me with this. But I've learned that my life is better when I always give people the benefit of the doubt. My life's just better. Even if Susan was like, no, I was trying to offend you, I'm still going to think, no, you weren't. No, I was. But no, I don't really think you were. Because it doesn't do me any good to go, oh, okay, cool, thank you, you're a jerk. Like, that doesn't make my day better. And so I just always assume that people have serious, heavy burdens taking place in their lives, and that it's never on me. And it also keeps me mindful of people need encouragement in their lives. They need positivity. Like, my content needs to be uplifting if it can be, or at least positive, because most people live their lives in complete negative environments. And this is why many of us struggle with social media. What we also have to rethink is, guys, are we cheering others on? What's so interesting about real estate is in my now 8 years of working with realtors and lenders, there's this interesting split in that, like, the top 20% of realtors, they typically are fine working together. The bottom 50%, they hate everybody. They think they have secrets. They don't want to share. They're jealous of everybody. And it's interesting that, like, the more successful somebody becomes, typically, the more they're willing to help others. And so if you will adopt this mindset of abundance versus scarcity, you get to wake up every day going, there's more than enough to go around. And that's kind of not true right now with what the market's doing, but we can still convince ourselves that it is. Right? I mean, we've seen over 60,000 realtors leave the industry since the beginning of the year. I don't know how many thousands of lenders we've seen, but it's been a lot. And guys, guess what? Even with the market the way it is, all of these men and women that have left the industry, there were people that trusted them to be their realtor or lender that now need a new realtor or lender. And so the more present you are online, the more opportunities you're going to give yourself. And so my favorite thing for this is, in my favorite book, I'll just grab it and show it to you guys. My favorite book on the planet is called Steal Like an Artist. Mm-hmm. I patterned my book after this book with graphics and, and images and drawings. And one of the things that Austin Kleon says in this book is, we've all heard the phrase rip off and duplicate, but I just feel so negative about that. Like, I don't want to rip Susan off. Like, that sounds bad. But he introduces a new phrase, which he calls celebrate and copy. Celebrate and copy.
No, I'm a big believer in that. I always say I never had an original thought. I just borrow lots of ideas and mush them all together.
Absolutely. And that's all of us, right? I mean, our world, guys, has been around for a really long time. So for us to think like, well, I'm just going to sit around and think of something original, good luck with that, because you're going to have a hard time. And so what is original, though, is you. And so this is why I love, like, I could be in a room with 100 realtors. I could give one idea for a video. And if all 100 of you went out and did that idea, all 100 of those videos will be different. Mm-hmm. Because you're different. I'm different. Your personality is unique. Your sense of humor is unique. Your history is different. And so this is why being ourselves is so valuable, because if I'm not myself, I never give myself the opportunity to be original. And so this is huge. And I love this quote. Steve Maraboli says, "A kind gesture can reach a wound that only compassion can heal." My mission statement for my life is very simple. It is to leave people better than I find them. Period. That's why I love when my friends ask me to jump on Zoom, and sometimes they ask me like, "Oh, do you have time? Like, can you do it?" And they have no idea how much I love doing this, because it's always my hope that whether I get an hour with you in person or 30 minutes with you through a screen, that you leave our interaction better than you came into it. And it's powerful. It keeps me on track. And guys, people remember me, because we all know the quote, right? People don't remember what you do. People don't remember what you say. People remember the way you make them feel. And so what an opportunity we have to do this through social media. Now, the last couple I want to give you guys is, you have to accept your issues. You are screwed up. Can we just admit that today? Like, we are jacked up, each and every one of us. Some of our screw ups get to be more hidden than others, but we all have issues. None of us are perfect. And so if you are continuing to try to be perfect every time you show up online, you're rarely going to show up online. And so you've got to be accepting of your issues. And this could be something as simple as like, I don't like the way my face looks when I'm doing video. I don't like the way my voice sounds. But you're willing to go to coffee with Susan with your face the way that it is. Like, you went and spoke to Susan with your voice the way that it is. So you're accepting your issues in some places, but then we turn to the internet and we get weird and all of a sudden it's different. It's not. We got to be more accepting. And so the best way, right? You want to relate to no one, pretend to be perfect. When I'm in a room with people, I love to do the exercise where I ask everybody, what's a quality that you dislike in other people? And we go around the room, and it's fascinating. This has never not worked. The overwhelming answer is typically, man, I hate know-it-alls. I hate people that think they're perfect. And then I ask the room, are we all in agreement? We dislike people that think they're perfect? Yeah. And then I turn it around and say, what quality do we try to achieve on our videos? Oh, we try to be perfect. Isn't it interesting that the quality we dislike the most in people becomes the quality we try to achieve in our videos? It's fascinating. And so we've got to let this go. We're becoming versions of ourselves that are not likable by people if we're not careful. What's up, Jay? Thanks for joining us on video. I love it. I love seeing faces, especially laughing faces. They're the best. Did you want to say something, Jay? Or you just...
Somebody had to do it.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you for being the one.
No problem. Enjoying you, man. Keep going.
We appreciate you being here so much. I want to share two more things, and then I'll be done. And I always say that. It could be four more. So I guess whenever Susan cuts me off and just tells me to shut up. Guys, we don't listen anymore. We have to rethink, do we actually listen? And here's what I mean by this. The longer, Susan, how long have you been in mortgage?
21, 22 years.
Jay, how long have you been in real estate? You're muted. 3 years, okay?
35 years.
35 years. Holy cow. Or 8 years, I don't know, or 3
not one
minus
of those
5,
numbers.
-2 years. I don't know how math works with hands. So Here's what we're all guilty of. I've been doing what I do for 8 years now. The more and the longer we're the expert of something, we have the ability to really solve people's problems far, far earlier in the process. 35. Unbelievable. Started in real estate when I was 5 years old. That's pretty incredible.
I don't think you were supposed to say that, Kyle. I think
Oh,
that
I
was
wasn't?
taking it a little far.
I mean, you know, we all know how math works. I already said I was 40. So, guys, what happens is I decide to buy a house in Georgia. I meet with Jay. I'm asking all these questions, but Jay, because he's been doing this for so long, he's already kind of figuring out like what we need, what we're looking for, areas of the city to show. And guys, what happens, and we don't do this on purpose, but we stop listening. And so I asked Jay, I don't know, 25 questions in a 90-minute coffee. And then Jay's going to come back to the office, listen to this Zoom, and then go, what am I supposed to do a video about again? When I just asked you 25 questions, all of which should become videos. But guys, we stop listening because we want to feel cool. We want to solve problems. And so we jump in and fix it. And we stop actually listening to the concerns of our potential clients. And so what I do very intentionally is every time I'm meeting with someone, I have a notebook in front of me because I'm writing the questions down that they're asking. I'm writing the significant things down that they say. And whether that's in a physical tab, like a physical like notebook, or I use I was trying to grab it, but it's too far away. I use what's called a Remarkable, and it's a writing tablet that feels like pen and paper. Do not do this on your phone. Do not do this on a laptop because that will make people think you're not paying attention. So you need old school pen and paper or a writing tablet. And then I love to tell people, if anybody asks like, oh, why are you writing that down? Well, Jay, because you're going to say things that are really valuable to me and I don't want to forget them. So not only am I showcasing to you how valuable you are, but I'm validating it by writing down what you say. I mean, guys, think about this. Think about how crazy this is. What if at your next listing appointment, you didn't take in your big old packet of your accolades and reviews and here's how amazing I am, Mr. and Mrs. Seller? What if you walked in with nothing other than a notepad? Because they think they're interviewing you, but you're actually interviewing them. And you're going to, for 90 minutes, you're going to sit in their living room and ask them 100 questions. And you're going to write and write and write and write and write and write and write. Guys, they will be so impressed by you by the end of that conversation. So that when the next 3 realtors walk in and go, hey, I'm so-and-so, here's everything I've won, and here's how many homes I sold, they're going to go, ugh, man, Jay was way better. Like Jay actually looked us in the eyes and had conversation and asked us questions, made us think. Isn't it interesting how such a subtle change like that can make a massive impact in the way we relate to people? And then, guys, I take all the questions that you ask me, and that's what becomes my next video. It's powerful. I love this quote. When we listen, we hear people into existence. It's unbelievable. And I want to end this with this. Daily video. Now, before you freak out and go, I was waiting for this. I was waiting for this nonsense. This crazy millennial telling me to get in front of the camera every day. I don't need you to get on social media every day in front of the camera. If I could just get you guys, if Susan could help get you guys to just doing a video a week for the internet, you would be better than most. But when I say daily video, what I mean by this is how many times a day do you text message a response to somebody when you could have sent them a video? How many times a day do you update someone on where y'all are in the process of selling their home or buying their home? And you sent an email when you could have recorded a video. This is the power of video. Is it cool to have it on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or TikTok, whatever? Sure. Right? Yes. But if you want to be a celebrity to people, and I don't mean that in a narcissistic way, but if you want to be memorable all the time, the more they see your face and hear your voice, you're going to win. And so what this does, right? Daily video ignites your referral opportunities. It ignites them because now people see you on a regular basis. And so I would think about, what does it look like for me to do video daily, but not on an internet thing, on a one-to-one thing? It's powerful, and it changes the game for how you're able to be referred when we do this well. And so I could keep going on and on, guys. I'm not going to. If you want to get into my ecosystem, you can scan this QR code. It'll take you to a form to fill out. And I'd love for you to be a part of what we're doing. You don't have to, but at least go find me on social. I'm Coach Kyle Draper everywhere. Send me an email if you want. This is hard. What I'm asking you to do is not for the faint of heart, which is why you need someone better than you that can come alongside you and help. And I'd love for that to be me. And so, Susan, thank you for letting me hang out with your people.
Absolutely. I appreciate it very much. I wanted to let y'all, like, this is what I would call the ass-kicking part of Kyle's presentation, where he's kind of mentally getting you ready to execute. But one of the things that I've really enjoyed as being part of his coaching program is the very detailed, specific instruction and guidance that I get. You get a microphone that looks like this, get a light that looks like this, set aside time to do a 10-minute video. One of the things he taught me was record for 10 minutes, and then we can break that up into small bits that we can use over time, so that you don't take your whole life to do content. So lots of the super concrete information. If you get into his world, I bought his book for most of my agents I do a ton of business with. If you guys would like the book, you can get it from Kyle, or I'll happy to send it to you. Just let me know. And but yeah, definitely at least follow him on social media. It will just kick your butt occasionally, which is, we all need that, because we're not video people, right?
Right.
We do mortgages and real estate, but this is kind of part of what we have to do. And I will say, you mentioned many times Leanne and Philip's Sweet Dog. They absolutely have all their video around the Sweet Dog. So they were right up that alley. Leanne, did you want to jump in? You look.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was just going to say, Kyle gave us a great idea that the new dog will be a complete tax write-off.
Yes, absolutely. It'll be worth that 7 hours there and back.
The trip and everything. All right, y'all. I appreciate it. If you have any questions, need contact information, thank you so much, Kyle. Hugs and
You're
kisses.
so welcome.
Take care.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
And in a group.